Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn GCP with Mahesh. Today we'll look into CloudIAM and in CloudIAM we'll look into the most important part of it, which is following the principle of least privilege. So what we will do is we will see what if we don't follow this guidelines, the principle of least privilege, what are the consequences one can see if they don't follow it. So that's what we are going to see in the next few minutes. So before we get into that, so the prerequisite for this video is this one. So I guess in the month of August I had created a video where I had shown how you can assign compute admin access to a single virtual machine, which I felt was one of my best videos. So we'll use the same video and see how this could be used in a wrong way by a person with a wrong intention. So that's all we are going to do today. So things are not followed, the principle of least privilege is not followed, and somebody with this idea uses it in a wrong way. So that's all the stuff. Let's see that how how this happens. So I'm in this project called as GCP Learn GCP Networking. So I'm the owner. So if you just mouse over learning GCP dot 2019, that's the user. And if you scroll down, you see that I'm the owner of this project. Now what we'll do is the requirement is in this organization, everybody should be able to create virtual machines. That's it. They should not be able to create databases. They should not be able to create storage. So they're just giving them compute admin privilege so that they can just create virtual machines. So let's assume there is one user. So the standard user which we use always, let's use the same user demo.gcp 2018 at the rate gmail.com. So this is the user. So as per the organizational policy, they should be able to create virtual machines. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and give two roles, compute admin and the service account, so that they can access the service account part to create the virtual machine. So just go to compute engine, give compute admin role and the service account user. So if you just go to service account, that's it. Two things as per the organization policy we are giving it. Let's click on save. Now once if you see it, you should be able to see this user is having this thing. Assume there are multiple users like this, and this user, let's see how he uses this credential for a bad purpose. Let's see that in the demo. Alright, so what I've done, I'm going to use my Firefox browser as usual. And before I proceed further with the demo, I just want to show what's the current time so that this time could be really helpful for us to do some debugging later. Now coming to this, and if you see, let me just refresh it to make sure everything is proper. So I'm using my Firefox browser, and if you just mouse over on this user profile, you will see that this is nothing but the user which we just added, demo.gcp 2018 user. So this is a user which we have granted compute admin and service account user. Now if you quickly see, because it's only service compute engine, app engine, this person does not have access. Cloud SQL, he does not have access. So billing information, he will not have access. So we are still using predefined role, so still good. um, if somebody with intermediate knowledge in GCP can definitely say that we have already followed the principle of least privilege. But a very smart guy, I can call whatever you can call whatever you want, a smart guy or a bad guy, how he uses this compute admin predefined role to his benefit. Let's see how he does it. And in this case, demo.gcp 2018 user, this user is a bad guy in my perspective. Let's see how he can misuse this role. So click on compute engine, and since this is a new project, there's no virtual machine created. He has the privilege to create virtual machine. Let's create it. Alright, I have given a name which is something intuitive. Again, the VM is only for me, so that's what he's trying to intend. And as usual, let's provision it in Mumbai and F1 micro VM. So that's it. And we have left everything default. VPC would be default. Everything would be a default stuff. That's it. Click create, and the virtual machine would be created as usual because he has the right role to create a virtual machine. So that's all good. So far, so good. So far, he was a good guy. But the next step which he's going to do is the wrong thing, which can impact the organization later. Let's see what can be done. So just click on this. So he will be able to SSH, everything would be good. And if you see even the network, everything looks fine. All right. Now, if you click on this, and in the video which I showed how to give compute admin to a single virtual machine, we had leveraged this show info panel where we gave the specific user the access at that virtual machine. Let's use the same feature and see how this could be used in a wrong way. So what I'm going to do is, even though I am this demo.gcp 2018 user who's just a compute admin and a service account user, that's it. What I can do is when I click on this info panel, I get this add member. I'm going to play this wrong man's role. That's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is, I know in future I may be removed access, or I may be only made as a viewer. To be on the safer side, I want to be the wrong guy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to make myself the owner of this virtual machine. This is the wrong thing which I'm going to do, and you'll see what will be the impact of this. So save it, and that's it. So all done, gone. So now things are moving as usual. Now let's switch back to the owner screen. All right, we have switched back to the owner screen, and if you just go and look into the compute engine, you should see the virtual machine which that user, the bad guy, created it. So far so good, no worries. The virtual machine is used. Maybe the name is not indicating anything, so still things are looking good. And as a owner, you can just look into the activity page, and the reason why I showed the time would be really helpful here. So the time when we created all the stuffs was 5:23 a.m. So if you look into the logs, you will see something like this. The VM was created, so a policy was created. You see a user was added at 5:20 and 5:23. This user created this virtual machine. Everything looks good so far. All right. Let's switch back to the bad user, or let's not switch back. Okay, let's switch back to the bad user. All right, we have switched back here, and he does everything. He logs in, and sometimes he does everything, all the stuffs. Now the organization policy has changed. They feel giving everybody a compute admin role is not a good choice. So what they feel is, they come and they take a step back and understand, okay, this may not be the best practice. So let's go ahead, and what they think is, let's make everybody compute viewer. Let's give only certain people only access to the virtual machine. So this bad guy gets a lower privilege. So scroll down, make him only compute viewer, and he does not even need to have the service account user because he's just going to view it. That's it. So just save it. Now I would definitely say this is a best option at what like generally saying compute viewer. He can just view the thing. That's it, nothing else, right? Now let's switch back to that bad guy and see what can happen even though his role has been reduced to compute viewer. What can happen with the small trick which he played in the beginning. Alright, I have come back to my bad guy, and if you see, I have not refreshed the screen because previously he was compute admin, right? He had the option to create VMs, all those stuffs, because he was an admin. But the moment I refresh the screen, this would go off because he's now downgraded to compute viewer. So that's a base. So let me refresh the screen, do a hard refresh. Sometimes the permission or the roles propagating would take a couple of minutes, so you need to do a couple of times hard refresh in your browser. Or the best option would be you can just log off and log in. That's another option. So you see that I have just refreshed it, have not paused the video. You see this, I get the instances are cannot be created because I am just a viewer now. But what I can do with this virtual machine, you can see, just select it and I can still stop it. I can stop my virtual machine. And you may say this is totally against the compute viewer. Yes, because he made that small trick. He made himself owner when he was given a higher role. He can now stop the virtual machine, and let's see what and all wrong things he can do. He can just even make this virtual machine, the machine type of this virtual machine increased. It need not be a micro VM. He can make it more powerful, use that compute for some wrong purpose. So let's see what he can do. So he is totally a owner for this virtual machine. That's what I would like to say. Edit it, and you should see by editing it you can make it the most powerful machine you want. Since I'm using a free tier account, I'll just stick on to this N1 standard so that I don't get quota errors. So save it. I have made it more powerful, and I'm going to stop it, start it. I can do all those kinds of stuff. So let me just update it. So the virtual machine type has changed. I can even start this virtual machine because I'm a owner, even though at the project level, if you see, I'm just a compute viewer, but for this virtual machine, nobody else knows it. Only I know it. It is I'm a owner of it. So because I played that trick, and you see that if you just go, just click on the machine type, you should see I have increased the machine type. Now if you want, I can stop it, but I cannot create any new virtual machines, but I can still play around with this virtual machine which I played that trick. Now let me switch back to that owner screen. Alright, I've switched back to the owner screen, and if you see, still I am compute viewer, and you may see there are some red flags raised when somebody looks into the activity page. uh, the owner itself sees the activity page, and he will get a red flag saying that even though everybody have made it as, if you see the policy was set at this time. We made that user, sorry, the user as viewer, but still this person is able to stop this. He's able to stop it. He's able to change the machine type. Is able to start it. This will definitely raise a red flag. So now only if you go further, do an analysis, for example, like this, go back to the compute engine. Now, how do you handle this? One way is you can totally remove that user. But if he's part of the organization and he needs to get access, you will not have any, you cannot remove him. If you have in such situation, what you can do definitely is the next step, as a cloud architect, which you can do is select that specific virtual machine, look into the info panel. That will give the trick which he was playing all these days. So, and if you come here, you see, for your surprise, there are two owners, which cannot be, because this user needs to be only a viewer. So just delete it, and if you see, this one is inherited, but this one he has added himself. So that's the stuff. Click on this. Now he should not be able to do it. Let's just go back to that screen. Alright, we have logged in back to the bad guys screen, and now if you click on this virtual machine and click on info, show info panel, you'll get to know this message like saying that you don't have the permission because you are just now a compute viewer. So that's how you can use your principle of least privilege. So whenever following the principle of least privilege is always the best option, but whenever you have this kind of a scenario where you have given a higher privilege or a higher role to one user or a group of users, and later due to some compliance reasons you downgrade them, make sure that you do the due diligence. Maybe if it's specifically like virtual machine, look into those virtual machines, look into the show info panel and see whether they have given themselves higher privilege or not. Same thing applies to your storage bucket also. So doing those due diligence can definitely mitigate the risk and avoid any damage to the organization. So that's a video which I wanted to share today. Hope it is helpful. Thank you for watching.